Hello, everyone. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our monthly webinar. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I see that there's still some people who are joining, so we're going to wait a couple of minutes before we start. In the meantime, while we allow people to join, and for those who might be new to our community, just share a few words about Women for Cyber. We are a nonprofit European initiative with the goal of promoting, encouraging, and supporting the participation of women in cybersecurity. And we do this to promote or support resilient
Microsoft
digital.
Teams.
Oops.
Okay.
I'm going to share some, after this, I was planning to share some housekeeping rules, but maybe I'll start with that. Hello, everyone. I see some new people joining. All right. A few housekeeping rules. First, it's very nice to see faces. You might need to approve the use of your cameras. It is being recorded. If you're not comfortable with that, no pressure. Secondly, please keep your microphone off if you're not speaking. And thirdly, you're encouraged to use the chat to introduce yourself and make any comments and so on. All right, people are still coming in. So I'll just finish about Women for Cyber. We're a nonprofit foundation. We work in Europe, and we support women in cybersecurity across different areas and stages of their careers. And the goal is to improve diversity in the field, but also support a more resilient digital world. We're present in 33 countries across Europe, so if you're not part of your chapter, I do encourage you to reach out. Chances are that wherever you're based, there is a Women for Cyber community organizing activities on the ground, and you're always very welcome to join. Okay, I see that the numbers are still going up, but I think we can start. Yeah, it seems to have stopped now. All right. So it is now my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Shrishti Soni. Thank you for being here. We're delighted to have you with us today, and I'm just going to give you the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Saskia. Hello, everyone. I hope I'm properly audible. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now, and I hope I'm sharing the right screen. Oops, yes. Okay. Well, do you guys know what happened with me the last time I went home? Let me tell you what exactly happened. So I was in Chandni Chowk, and it is one of the most, chaotic, busiest marketplaces in India. So if you have to ask me what you would find there, loud streets, check. Crowded lanes, check. Food stalls everywhere, check, check, check. So it's the kind of place, where your phone keeps buzzing and you barely notice. And that's what happened with me as well. At some point, I saw a missed call from my aunt, and I kind of assumed that I would call her back later. Well, that later came really late. So about half an hour later, my grandfather called, and the first thing he said was, "Something is not right. Check your WhatsApp." Now, my attention shifted. So I opened my WhatsApp, went on to my aunt's chat, and I saw there was a message from my aunt, a short text, and a file attachment. Well, the text mentioned something about farmers, which didn't feel random because we had recently spoken about something similar. So I did what most of us would do. Any guesses?
You opened the document.
Sorry?
You opened the link or the attachment.
Yes, I tapped download on the document, on the attachment. So for a second, nothing happened. And that was exactly where my brain got up. Now, I noticed that the same message had been sent to every family group and every other person in my aunt's WhatsApp. Okay. I realized this because I saw my mom's WhatsApp, I saw my dad's WhatsApp because they were with me and they had received the same message from her along with all the groups that we were in. So it was not just me, it was every single person. That is when something really clicked. Well, I checked the file type. And guess what? It was .apk. At that point, I remembered thinking, why would my aunt send me an Android application file altogether? She's not a techie. Even if she is, why would any techie send a .apk file on WhatsApp? So that's when my stomach dropped because I realized someone had taken over her account. Hmm. For a few seconds, I wasn't really thinking like someone in cybersecurity. I was thinking like my aunt's niece. And I let familiarity override logic. So don't worry, I cancelled the download in time. The file hadn't downloaded because I was using my mobile data instead of Wi Fi. And as every young person, I used up all my mobile data early in the morning. So, thanks to the data constraints that we have, the file did not download completely and I cancelled it at time. But that moment really stayed with me, and I'll tell you why. Because for those few moments, context overpowered caution. Hmm. And that moment reminded me of something very important. Phishing is not about tricking careless people. So, what is it about? Well, it is about creating context so believable that even cautious minds pause. Hello, everyone. I'm Shrishti Soni, and well, I do a lot of thinking. I think about crazy ideas that I can do, and also about how do people exactly think, especially in the context of social engineering and phishing. And today, that is exactly what we are going to talk about. I want to explore how phishing campaigns are actually built. And before we do that, I have a quick question for you coming up in the chats. So let me quickly share the link with you. And we can all take 2 minutes to answer the question. I'll bring that up on my slide as well, so we can all stay in loop. Well, the question is very simple. What do you think that made this attack work and believable? I hope the link is accessible and everyone can see the poll, the Slido poll.
I can see it.
Okay. Okay, and we are receiving answers. Yeah, right. Wow. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So we are all on the same page, and I can clearly see that I have a very informed audience. So let us walk through it together. Okay. The first thing that made this attack really work was trusted identity, as a lot of you have mentioned in the answers there. The message didn't come from a stranger. It came from someone I trusted, my aunt. Okay. And now we have to keep this one thing in mind that trust lowers suspicion, that too instantly. So, yes, trusted identity was one reason why this attack actually worked for me before I stopped it. Okay. The next thing that made this work was relevant context, as you can see. I read in the answer, someone mentioned that because I had already spoken about it, or it was very common to hear about, farmers and discuss about them back in my home country. And I think that's a very common topic spoken almost everywhere in the world, if I'm not wrong. But yes, so the context wasn't random. It fit very well into recent conversations, and nothing felt out of place. Something about farmers. What could be about farmers? An attachment? What could that attachment contain? Maybe a new provision for them, maybe a new bill passed. I don't know. I was curious to know what was inside that attachment, and hence I clicked download. And the last thing is automatic action. Now, I hit download before even thinking correctly about it. Why would my aunt even send me a .apk file? Right? I should have thought. I did not. And I took an automatic action before actually thinking clearly. Okay, let's move further. So, we saw what made the attack work, but what helped me stop? Anybody in the audience would like to make a guess over here? Oh, I don't have a poll for this one, so we'll have to do the chat. Pause, okay. Correct, correct. Oh my God. My audience is so nice. Yeah, correct. Okay, well, again, we are all on the same page. We are going in the right direction. So let's see one by one what actually helped me stop the attack. Okay, the first thing was the processing delay. Now, I tapped download, but there was a small delay while the file was processing. And that delay actually allowed me to pause and give my brain some time to catch up. And I think sometimes interruption is enough to reactivate your critical thinking, isn't it? Like even at work, when I am working, my brain just explodes and I stop getting good ideas. And then when maybe I take a day or two off and I'm back at work, I'm full of new ideas again. So I think that processing delay is the first thing that helped me stop the attack. Now, the next thing, that was the repetition across groups. So I noticed something else, and that was that the exact same message had been sent to every family group. Okay, which is weird. My aunt doesn't send everything everywhere. If she's sending me, she won't put it in the group. And if she has put it in the group, she won't send it to me personally, right? And if there was something important that my aunt wanted to tell me, she would only message me. Why would she broadcast the same message, the same files everywhere? So that was another thing that made me get a feeling that something is not right. Okay. And the last thing that really worked was the file type awareness, as you guys mentioned in the chats. So when I finally checked the file type, I realized it was .apk. And that's when everything fell into place and everything became very clear. And I realized, oh, congratulations, Srishti. We have been part of a cyber attack. Well, that file type definitely did not align with the context of the message. So yeah, that was one thing that made me stop. Now, I have a deeper question for you all. What if this attack was not random? What if someone had studied who I trust, what I care about, and what kind of messages are likely to make me respond? Hmm, that's exactly where OSINT comes into picture. Now, I have another question for you guys. Let's see. And I'll share the link with you in the chat. It's probably the same link, but a different question. There you go. Wow. Everybody has heard of OSINT? Maybe. Okay. Okay. Well, this is great. And guys, if you haven't heard of OSINT, that is perfectly fine because this is where things are going to get more interesting. And that is exactly what we are here for today. So let me quickly define or, just tell you what OSINT is. OSINT stands for Open Source Intelligence. Okay. In simple terms, it is the process of collecting and analyzing publicly available information. Okay. Publicly available information could mean anything about you on your social media platforms, or if your organization has information about employees, or if you are in the founders or the management, your information could be on the website as well. So that is open source information about you. Now, uh, here's the part people underestimate. Attackers often spend more time researching the target than actually sending them the message. Now you'll ask me why. Why would attackers spend more time on researching on their victims? So I'll tell you exactly why. Because deception, it becomes much easier when the message feels familiar. Hence, they often spend more time researching. Now, let us go on to the next slide, and we are going to see what do attackers actually look for. Any guesses from the audience? What are attackers actually looking for when they are collecting data on you? Okay, here's a link for you guys to answer. Correct, social media. Oh my God, I have such a nice audience. So enthusiastic. I love you guys. That's right. PII, that is your personally identified information, patterns of behavior. Yeah. Social media profile, sensitive information, likes, dislikes. Excellent. Wow. Right, right. We are all in the right place. Okay. So what do attackers actually look for? Okay, the first thing that they want to understand is who are you related to and who do you trust? Because if I can impersonate someone you trust, I have already reduced your suspicion. Okay, like let me give you another example. So this happened almost a year ago. My grandfather got a call from his nephew saying that he was stuck at a police station. The police had arrested him for XYZ reason, and they wanted him to transfer some 20,000 Indian rupees to a number that he would send him. My grandfather is really old, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't aware of what's going on in the world when he received this call. So my grandfather transferred the money, that is 20,000 rupees. And after some time, he called his sister to ask, "Did your son come back home?" And his sister was like, he was at the shop. He was at office. Why do you ask me, has he come back home? And then he told, "Oh, your son called me saying that please don't call mom or dad or tell them about this thing that has happened with me at the police station. Please transfer the 20,000 rupees right away." So I transferred the 20,000 rupees. And then my aunt, and then his sister was like, what? He came home right now. How was he at the police station? And he went back to office. And that's when we understood that someone had impersonated my grandfather's nephew to take money from him. And then he never got back his money. So this is where this is just an example for you guys to understand how attackers can use your relationships. And this is very common these days. It's not something we are not aware of. Well, trust alone isn't enough. So I also have to find out what is it that you like and what are you talking about these days. So like you have mentioned in the chat, I look at your interests, I look at where you are what posts are you reacting to, what conversations are you getting involved in, what topics feel normal in your environment, and so on. So if we connect my story back to this point, it would be the farmers, right? The farmers topic wasn't random. It felt pretty normal. Okay. Now that we know who you trust and what feels natural, I'm going to look at how you usually communicate. Do you exchange documents? Which platforms do you use? Do you use WhatsApp? Do you use Instagram? How often do you use Instagram? Which accounts do you interact with? Are you on LinkedIn? Well, if you are on LinkedIn, which pages do you follow? Okay, you follow these pages. You are in these groups. Are you active over there? What information do you have? How knowledgeable you are? Because, an attack that matches your normal behavior doesn't actually feel like an attack. Hence, all this information gathering is going on. Okay. And then we look at what platforms you use. Like I mentioned earlier, which social media platforms are you using? Are you using Quora? Are you using, which was the other one? Stack Overflow to figure out solutions for your bugs? Hmm? Every platform is going to give me important piece of information about you. That is your digital identity, and all of us are happily leaving our digital trace. Very happily. And finally, the last thing that attackers would look for are emotional triggers. What makes you act quickly? Okay. Uh, Urgency, fear, authority, and a request for help. These are the main things that the attacker would test with you. When my grandfather said in my story, okay, where my aunt was a victim of the cyber attack and she had forwarded the message. In that case, when I received a call from my grandfather and when he said something's not right, okay, that created urgency. So that was an emotional trigger. I was very busy when I was at the streets because I was going crazy with all the food, all the shops. I wanted to do shopping. And amidst that, my grandfather calling me and asking me to check my WhatsApp, I was like, okay, I'm just checking it right now. And then that urgency made me almost fall for the attack. Okay. Now, so we have seen what attackers look for. But let's look at the phishing process or life cycle, I would say. So from research to the phishing message, what are the steps? The first step is exactly what we discussed earlier. It's OSINT research. Okay, this is where all the information gathering is going to happen. I'm going to collect all the information we discussed in the previous slide. Once that is done, we are going to move on to the next step, that is context selection. So now that I have all the information about you, I'm not going to keep it aside, in my Word document somewhere on my hard drive or Google Drive or anywhere. I'm going to use that to create the most believable story for you. Okay. It need not be very dramatic, and it shouldn't be the most dramatic one. It should rather be something that is normal. Normal as in it feels normal to you. Okay. And I want it to be as believable as possible. So in the second step, that is context selection, I will prepare that background for the story. Once I know that, okay, I want to use this angle, like in my case, it was farmers. I know that I'm going to use farmers. Okay. Now, what should I write in the message? Why would people click on the download button? If there is something interesting in the message only, then they will click, of course. So the message that I received was, let me recollect. It said something about a new bill. Yes, it said something about a new bill for farmers that the government had passed, which gave rise to curiosity. And I was like, I don't know what the government is doing now. And so it kind of worked. Once I've selected my context, I have to draft the message. So that is where we are going to put all our effort into message crafting, because your message should make people want to take action. If your message is not making people take action, it's a failed attack, right? But that does not mean you go and start attacking people. So the tone of the message should match the relationship. It should match recent conversations, and file type should match expected behavior. Okay. If I'm getting a message from my mom, it should sound like my mom is sending me the message. Or if I'm getting a message from my best friend, it should sound like I'm getting that message from my best friend. Okay. So the attacker will probably look at our previous chats if my phone has been compromised as well. Right? Okay. And the last step is delivery. So once they have the message, they are going to deliver it from the platform that you are most comfortable with. In my case, it was WhatsApp. And by the time the message reaches you, the attacker has already done their homework. Now, next question, quick question, guys. Answers in the chat, please. Why do we actually click links without thinking? Mm-hmm. Right. Curiosity, fear, urgency, excitement. Yeah. Autopilot. Okay. Well, honestly, I don't understand if curiosity is a good thing or a bad thing. No? Okay, never mind. We'll get back to it later. Let us quickly see what actually makes us click. The first thing is familiarity. So, our brains, they're wired to trust something that feels familiar. Okay. Getting a message from my aunt on a random day was not something out of the blue. It was it was normal for me. So my brain at that point was wired to trust that message and think that there's nothing suspicious about it. Okay. So the names we recognize, the topics we have discussed, the languages that feel normal, all these are the things that make us trust the things that we are seeing, listening, or receiving. Okay. The next thing is urgency. Like a lot of people have already mentioned it in the chat. Urgency changes how we think. Okay. When someone feels time sensitive scenarios, or when something feels time sensitive or emotional, our brain shifts into action mode and we stop thinking. We are like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. When my grandfather said something wasn't right, my emotional state just changed. I was like, something is not right, but I need to do that quickly because I'm in the middle of the most amazing place for me to do a lot of shopping. Okay, moving on to the next reason why we click, that is authority. So we are also conditioned to respond to authority, right? If our parents tell us something, we're going to do that. If our manager is going to tell us something, we're going to do that. Any senior colleague, anyone senior to us, uh, if he or she tells me to do something, I'm going to do it without giving it a thought. And the last reason is cognitive load. When we are distracted, overwhelmed, or multitasking, our ability to critically analyze drops. Okay. I've been mentioning this again and again, but I was in one of the busiest places in Delhi at that point, which which had a lot of noise, a lot of movement, a lot of distraction. I was like, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to eat that, I want to buy that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And amidst all that, if I get a call from someone saying, just check your WhatsApp, something is not right, even something is not right, fell into background. And the only thing I could remember was check your WhatsApp. So I checked it and I hit download. And then we know what happened. So um, we have to remember that phishing doesn't succeed because people are careless. Okay, it succeeds because attackers understand how people think and how to make them act in different situations. So, what do we do before we click? See, I agree that phishing often succeeds in seconds, but so does prevention happen. Okay, prevention also happens in seconds. Let us bring this back to something simple. What should you do before you click? So I'm going to list a few things and we are going to discuss on that because we need to keep these things in mind for situations like mine and so that we don't fall for those attacks. Okay. The first thing is pause before acting, which I did not do. Always uh, think before you are acting. I know we can be in situations and scenarios where uh, we just stop thinking because we want to get done with the thing, or we trust the person who is sending us the message, or XYZ. Anything, anything, just pause before acting because the smallest delay, it can change what outcome you're going to receive. So in my case, the processing speed, because of the uncertain data connection that I had, the mobile data, that processing speed and the processing delay gave me time to think. Hence, I got to know that, okay, this is not normal and we need to think about it again. The next thing that we need to do is verify the sender, not just the name. Oftentimes, we receive emails, right? Uh, and they can say that they are coming from our bank, but are they really coming from our bank? We need to check that. So always double check your emails. Okay. Not just your sender's name, but the sender's email or the sender's contact number. There's another thing, that I have noticed that I have been receiving these calls, scam calls from places like the likes of Indeed or, Glassdoor or these online job search platforms where they give me a call, I don't answer, and then they drop me a normal message that, hey, I'm the hiring manager and I have a job for you, call me back. I'm like, I did not apply to any of that. Why are you calling me? If you have a job for me, first of all, where the hell did you get my contact number from? If you did, it is definitely from one of the platforms that I might have used in the past. So this is just another example of how scams can happen, and we need to keep our eyes, our ears, and our brains open and sharp all the time. Okay. Then we need to keep in mind the context, not just the content. Does any message that you're receiving or any email that you're receiving fit a particular pattern? Or is something slightly off? Because that will tell you what you should and what you shouldn't do. Okay. The next thing we need to do is inspect attachments and links. Again, coming back to my own story, what was the attachment? .apk. Now, .apk is not a usual file my aunt would send me. She either sends me uh, photos or she sends me those GIFs from the chat itself. So these are the only file types she shares with me, or the normal text message. That's all. So yes, .apk was like like that. It made me think like that. And then we need to confirm through another channel. Like if anything feels urgent or unusual, just verify it outside the same platform. Okay. A quick call can prevent a bigger problem. Now, this reminds me of another story. So I was stuck in UAE. My flight got delayed, and apparently WhatsApp calls don't work there. So I dropped a message to my father and my mom in our family group that, hey, download this application. I think that's called Bottom or something. And then we can connect on call. I can call you because I had to tell them what was going on. They were going crazy knowing that their daughter is stuck in a place they had never thought of. So I dropped it in the family group, and what my dad did was he private messaged me asking, "Hey Shrishti, did you send us this link? Do you want me to download it?" I was like, "Daddy, yes, stop being so skeptical at this point because this is this is not the place for you to be skeptical." At that point, I kind of felt proud as well because my dad was using his my dad was using his knowledge and his intelligence. Oh my God, I'm getting tears in my eyes because how proud I am of my dad. But yeah, so it was awareness about different kinds of attacks that made him do that. Not completely in sync with confirming through another channel, but at least he made an effort to confirm with me um, on my private chat. Okay, now the hottest topic of the time we are in, AI. AI, oh my God. We are going to talk about something very relevant today. AI, artificial intelligence. So, a lot of people are blaming AI, and it's it's not a threat in itself. It is just how attackers are using AI to scale deception. So the attackers are actually smart. Why? Because they're using AI to analyze large amounts of public data quickly. Okay. What used to take days now takes hardly a few minutes, maybe, right? AI is helping people, attackers, to generate messages that match exactly your communication style. So, I'll bring one more example for you guys over here. I'm a blogger as well. I used to write about, so I generally used to write philosophical blogs and, crazy ideas about what I think should be right and is right, and people don't think it is right. And I noticed that my writing had dropped. I didn't write a lot. Um, so what I did was I took 4 blogs of mine. I went to ChatGPT and I was like, understand the tone, understand how understand my writing style, and help me write a new blog on so and so topic. Now, you say I used it to write a blog, which I did not publish. So, yeah, I did not publish it, so it's fine. But when I am using ChatGPT to write a blog for me that exactly matches my tone, and it did a wonderful job. Imagine what attackers are doing when they're using your posts from maybe LinkedIn, from Instagram, from XYZ other platforms to, excuse me, to prepare a message that sounds exactly like you, and then they're sending it to people in your network. How are people in your network going to doubt that it is not coming from you, right? So this is how attackers are basically using. The first thing is to analyze large amounts of data quickly. Okay. The second thing is they're using it to come up with extremely personalized messages. messages that fit the tone, the style of the sender. Okay, there are no grammar mistakes. So earlier people used to say, just check your email for spelling mistakes or for grammar mistakes. Hey, we are in the age of AI. AI has taken up the roles uh, of the English teacher, then what did we have? Grammarly, XYZ, all those people who are supposed to be extremely knowledgeable of the English language. AI has taken up their role, and you can no longer find any mistakes in the messages that you receive. Okay. The next thing I would want to add here is that AI allows attackers to target many people at once. Okay. And previously we told personalized messages. So that is how phishing is evolving. AI is not creating new ways to deceive people. It is just making existing deception much harder to recognize. Okay, so AI is not the villain here. It's the attacker. It's the person who is so good at prompt engineering and so sharp, and he or she is using AI to do all that. So, so we just need to remember that AI basically allows attackers to speak and appear in a way that feels familiar, right? And it does the job so well, right? Okay, so before we finish, we need to keep one thing in mind. Phishing doesn't succeed because people are careless. It succeeds because attackers understand how humans make decisions. So I personally believe that social engineering, phishing, and OSINT, these are all concepts of psychology, but just because they are using your digital data, they are a part of cybersecurity. That's what I believe. Like I said, I am very philosophical and I love questioning the norm. And this is just one of those. So now that we are towards the end of the webinar, I would request you guys to kindly fill the feedback form so that I can, maybe work on myself for the future webinars, and so that not just me, but the entire team who organized this knows what our audience is liking, not liking, how they would like to proceed, what they would like to see next, right? And then we can go on further.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, it'd be great if you could take now. I think it will take you 20 seconds to fill in the post-webinar feedback, but it helps us to assess what you like, what you don't like, and how useful you found it. So please just take 30 seconds and give a great review to Shriti.
To all of us.
To all of you. Very engaged audience. I love that.
I know, right? I did
Yeah.
not expect that, honestly, because all the webinars I did earlier, they were all dull. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I hope I was able to add to your existing knowledge, or at least help you brush up that knowledge. If you have any feedback for me, you can drop it in the chats as well.
I just added the link as well. I know that we've been talking about not clicking on links, but I assure you, you can click on this one
Okay.
in case someone cannot use their camera.
Okay. Perfect.
You're right, sure, but I am not a cyber attacker. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Shri.
Thank you, Saskia. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Yeah.
Um,
I see there
do
is
we
a.
have, yeah,
No, sorry, go on. I was just gonna say I don't see any questions. I only see a lot of nice words on the chat.
yeah.
But I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to say if there are any questions, I can take one or two, definitely.
All right, any questions, anyone? We have a couple more minutes if you have them. I think everything was very clear.
Yeah.
I think having personal examples make it even more, well, real, of course, for better or
Yeah.
worse. But it also helps a lot with how you understand the work and the
Mhm.
thinking behind. Maybe a comment from my side, because I've also been receiving a lot of, well, I don't think I've received them personally, but my mom has been receiving a lot of I think WhatsApp messages as well. The ones that are, hi mom, I've lost my phone. This is my
Yeah.
new number, something like that, creating the urgency. I'm pretty old now,
Yeah.
so I don't know if they know. But I imagine that if they do that with like younger kids that already have a phone number or teenagers,
Yeah.
that really creates also the urgency, and they kind of block your brain and you just want to act and not
Yeah.
take a second thought about, is this really true? You just get, oh no, my kid has lost the phone and how do I reach them?
Yeah.
Really targeting the emotional aspect and the urgency. It says,
Yeah.
I see a question from Jasma. Is there a way that attendees can share participation of this webinar on LinkedIn? I'm not sure I understand the question. You can share, I think we had a post about it. You could repost that and share your thoughts with it. I think that would be nice. But I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to. And I see, sorry, I missed those hands up. If that's what you're referring to, please feel free. I'm gonna check the question. So first person, I don't see your full name. I see a Y and a V. Maybe Yvonne, I'm not sure. Please go ahead.
Yes, Yvonne, yeah, because I was locked out. I was jogging, in fact, when I attached the webinar, yeah, because I have another meeting at 6 p.m. So I had to put it in between. It was very interesting, and I have a question. I will do a keynote together with a colleague from our pen testing team on the psychological side of being hacked and social engineering in May. And I would.
We lost you
So
for a
maybe
second.
if you have some tips.
We
Okay.
just,
Do you hear me now?
yes,
Do you hear?
we lost you
Yeah.
after the I will, so we missed the best part, I think.
Okay. So, if you have some literature tips on social engineering from the psychological side, so why people, for example, are losing awareness and so on, it would be very helpful because I want to prepare the psychological part of that keynote. And that would be great. Maybe if you have some tips, or also Saskia, maybe you can provide it via the platform on Discord server or something like that. That would really help to get actual studies about that thing.
Sure thing. I can provide you more details after the webinar, I think. I'll drop them on email and Saskia can forward it to you. Would that be all right?
Super. That would be great. Thank you so much.
We can
You're
share
fine.
that information with everyone after the.
Yes, that would be nice.
Great.
Thank you so much.
And make sure to reference Shri at the at your keynote.
That's okay.
There's another question from Roberta. Please go
Hi,
ahead.
Roberta.
Yes,
Hi.
Shreed, thank you very much for the presentation. I was hearing from the car. I was in the car, didn't want to miss, and I just arrived
That's
home
okay.
now. That's why I could not participate in answering the questions. But I like to say that was very, very, very good presentation because you make very personal. You brought a ton of examples that told a story, and everybody can relate to family. So it's almost
Yeah.
impossible to forget the tips and the things that you said, because we are hearing you and we are thinking about our granddaddy, our father, and we are associate those things with them. So it was excellent. And the other thing that I would like to say is that 2 years ago, my father was scammed. He fell on a scam online, think that was my brother, and he lost a couple of thousands of euros in there.
Yeah.
And we agree, the whole family agree when we were together, without cell phones, without nothing. We discussed this because the cell phones are listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in the outside talking, far from everything, and we agreed to things that only we know from our childhood. We never wrote, we never. So if we ever need something to confirm, we'll ask the password. And if by any reason the person on the other side, if it's a scammer, know the first password, we have a second password. So this is something that I also
Wow.
recommend to everybody. Yeah. But if
Yeah.
you agree with your family, never do on the phone and do far from the phone.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very good tip. Thank you so much. And I
Yeah.
think everyone should do it. My dad asked us to do the same thing, but we never implemented the password. But I think it's time we do it.
Yeah. I think that's a great suggestion, first of all.
Yeah.
But more generally, I don't know, maybe some families don't want to take it as far as having a password. But in general, everyone who already has an awareness on the topic should share it with the families. Because especially older people, they are the main target because they are the easier ones because they're not as aware as the younger
Yeah.
generation might be. So you can also do your own work with your family and loved ones, just I don't know, doing a short presentation, not even a presentation, but discussing it at home, discussing it with family, I think is very important as well. If
Maybe over dinner.
exactly, yeah, just bringing it up, this happens and this is what it looks like, and then maybe you want to put a password on it. But I think, yeah, any work or any awareness that you can bring, it's already a great step in the right direction.
Well,
I
I
s-
see one question in the chat. Um, so if you're from a non-technical background, the first thing I would recommend doing is start networking, because when you have a good network, people will come and help you. So be a part of an amazing community where I think Women for Cyber is doing great things. Okay, they're connecting all of us together to educate each other, right? So maybe you can get in touch with Women for Cyber. I think they have a mentor-mentee program as well, right? And why don't you get in touch with Saskia after the call? She will definitely tell you more about the mentor-mentee program. So that's one thing. The second thing that I heard when I was entering the cybersecurity domain was to do some certifications. Uh, I am guilty of not doing them yet because I am very lazy at appearing for exams. But you can try your hand on that as well. Um, Maybe starting into GRC. So GRC is basically governance domain of cybersecurity. That's not very technical. That's more like law. So if you want to try that first and see if that interests you, I think that would be a good start. I hope that answers your question.
I guess it does. I was just gonna mention our mentorship program, but also in general, understanding a little bit the direction that you want to take and the transferable skills that you can use. And I think mentorship, whether it's formal through a program like ours or through people that you might be able to network with, is really helpful for you to know. Even if you want to take some certifications, you might want to know what certifications because there are so many out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, are there any other questions? Oh, my contact. I'll put it in the chat. All right, there it is. Anyone, if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me. In any case, we will follow up with everyone who attended with the materials. that Shri has said that she would very kindly share with you if you want to do any more reading on your own. And I don't think there are any other questions.
Okay. Well, this was a lovely session. I really enjoyed it. Thank you all for joining, and thank you for being such an interactive audience.
And thank you, Shri, for spending your time with us today, this evening, to enlighten everyone. And thank you everyone again for joining. It was great having you. Wishing everyone a lovely evening or day, depending where you are.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.